If money isn't moving, it's not because heaven is closed, it's because your mouth is. You're not waiting on a paycheck, a breakthrough, or a lucky turn. You're waiting on your own voice to remember its power. Most people don't realize they've been cursing their money every day with casual worry, careless words, and silent agreement with fear, and wonder why the drought continues. They say, "I hope something shifts," and block the very shift they seek. But I tell you now, with the force of divine law behind every syllable, your financial condition is the visible echo of your invisible decree. Money does not follow effort. Money follows speech. The only reason you still feel bound is because you've never risen and said with boldness and breath and fire, "I am rich because I say so." That is not a fantasy. That is not a lie. That is law spoken, enforced, eternal. And for the next 12 days, you will speak it until every wall breaks and every locked gate swings open, not because you earned your way through, but because you commanded the door. The moment you begin to argue with your own good, you have already agreed with delay. And delay is not a condition of the spirit. It is a creation of human logic. That old deceiver will say, "Be reasonable, be realistic, be careful, be cautious." And all the while, divine law stands ready to pour out a blessing so rich it will shake the walls of your limited understanding, waiting only for your voice to permit it, for your decree to authorize it, for your words to unlock what is already held for you in the invisible. Let me speak plainly. Human reason is the great robber of divine riches. It calculates, it doubts, it shrinks, and it postpones. It says, "Let me wait until I see more." But the law says, "Speak and then you shall see." You have been taught that money comes by toil, by strategy, by budgeting. And while these things may serve a system, they do not serve the spirit. For the spirit does not operate in fractions or formulas, but in full release through unwavering declaration. Let me remind you of the widow of Zarephath, that lone woman with only a handful of meal and a little oil, whom the prophet Elijah instructed to bake him a cake first, to give from her lack as if it were abundance. And what did she do? She obeyed the voice, and the barrel of meal wasted not, neither did the cruse of oil fail, because she obeyed not logic, but law. And I say to you now, when you give the word first place, supply cannot withhold itself, it cannot delay, it cannot resist, for it is bound to appear. And yet how many today speak of savings, but not of speech, of interest rates, but not of inner decree? They plan 1,000 human things and neglect the one divine thing that actually moves money. So I ask you, what would happen if for 12 days you silenced the logic that starves and opened your mouth in faith that feeds? What if every time fear said, "Hold on tight," you replied, "I release with joy and I receive with grace"? What if instead of negotiating with your past, you announced your future aloud? I tell you truly, all of heaven would break loose. The angels of provision would rush to attend your word, and the windows of supply, which never closed from above, only from your own agreement with delay, would swing wide to the shout of your voice. Say it now and say it without apology. I give thanks that divine supply now bursts through the walls of human doubt, and watch with holy certainty as something in your atmosphere begins to shift. There is no space in the spiritual realm for contradiction to remain. Own vibration must displace the other. One belief must override the former. One word must substitute the word that came before it. And if you have spoken lack for years, for decades, for generations, handed down through lineage and repetition, and casual curses dressed up as conversation, then you must now take the holy scalpel of truth and begin to carve a new groove in the mind, in the mouth, in the air around you. For you cannot say, "I am broke," and then wonder why wealth flees. You cannot say "nothing ever works out for me" and expect the heavens to nod in agreement. You cannot echo fear and then demand miracles. No, my friend, divine law will not be mocked for. It only fulfills what is spoken with conviction, whether it be the curse of poverty or the crown of plenty. And therefore you must choose, you must replace, you must rise and say, "I substitute the lie with the law, the fear with the flame, the beggar's moan with the billionaire's decree." Do not think this is semantics, this is surgery of the soul. And many a life has been rescued not by toil, not by talent, not by timing, but by the simple yet unshakable substitution of one phrase for another, by the shift from "I can't" to "it is done." From "I lack" to "I overflow." From "there's never enough" to "my storehouse is full." This is not flattery, this is not fantasy, this is force, a spiritual force that dissolves delay and summons the seen from the unseen. Once said, "Man must prepare for the thing he has asked for, though he sees no sign of it." And I add to her truth, man must speak for the thing he has asked for, though he feels no belief yet stirring. For the voice, when saturated in rhythm and faith, will shape the atmosphere faster than the mind can comprehend. And what was once invisible becomes inevitable when the law is spoken with reverence and certainty. So if your pockets are empty, your debt rising, your stomach twisting, and your hope shrinking, now is the hour to lift your tongue out of the dust and proclaim what heaven has already written in your name. For no one can declare your wealth for you, and no one can substitute your speech for you, and no one can override the creative power of your decree except you. Say now aloud and say it like thunder that refuses to be silenced. I am rich, I am rich, I am rich. Say it until the shadow leaves. Say it until the lie shatters. Say it until the inner world breaks open with oil. Because this is how the law works. Not by wish, not by weeping, but by substitution. And the moment you choose truth and speak it without compromise, the false word dies, and a new world begins. The world you walk in tomorrow begins with the word you speak before you rise today. For the spiritual realm does not operate on clocks and calendars, but on confession, on the invisible tone that sets the day's weather long before your feet touch the ground. Most souls wake up and reach first for their phones, their fears, their schedules, or their complaints. And so their mornings are programmed by the residue of the night, the doubts of yesterday, the echoes of bills, problems, deadlines, and dread. But I tell you now by divine authority that your first word is your first wave, your first swing of the spiritual scepter. And if you do not seize the throne of your morning with a royal tongue, then the day will be hijacked by every wandering thought and every unguarded phrase until you find yourself living not from spirit but from circumstance. Scovel Shinn knew the power of the morning decree, for she taught that the first moments after waking are the most fertile. They are the garden gates of the soul. And if you plant truth in them, the whole day blooms in harmony. There was once a woman, weary and burdened with debts, who came to with a spirit sagging from despair. She had tried praying, she had tried hustling, she had tried complaining, but still the checks did not come. Gave her only one instruction: say this upon waking, before speaking to anyone, before opening your mouth for anything else. Miracles now unfold in divine order. Unexpected money flows to me now. And the woman obeyed, not with emotion, not with full belief, but with exactness. She repeated it day after day. And on the fifth morning, before noon had struck, a letter arrived containing a check she had long given up on, a refund from years before, now released by mysterious channels. The woman wept not because of the money, but because the decree had broken her disbelief. Let this be your law. The first words you speak are the throne or the trap. Do not speak of bills of pain, of another hard day. No, say instead what heaven is already holding for you in the unseen. Declare what your spirit longs for but your logic resists. Say, I walk into favor. Today is wrapped in divine provision. My supply precedes my step. Do not let your bank balance speak louder than your soul. Do not let the news outrun your prophecy. Do not let the mirror or the mailbox or the memory choose your vibration. You are not here to echo reality. You are here to issue it. And hear me well. The tongue holds time. Your first word calls the day. Your first sentence calls the harvest. Your first declaration either builds the mansion of wealth or the prison of panic. You are not broke. You are just misprogrammed. So reprogram with boldness. Reprogram with command. Reprogram with morning fire. Say now before another moment passes, this is a perfect day. I am perfectly provided for. The perfect substance flows to me from perfect channels in perfect ways under grace. Say it again, and tomorrow say it first, and the day after say it with breath and belief and rhythm. Because when your first word is aligned, the rest must obey. There is a spiritual oil invisible to the eye but known in the realm of miracles, and it is the oil of expectancy, subtle, fragrant, and potent. It begins to flow the moment you stop speaking from fear and begin speaking from faith. Not faith in struggle or delay or grinding toil, but faith in divine timing, in divine law, in the exact orchestration of heaven's supply to match your spoken decree. For just as the widow poured oil into empty vessels at the prophet's command, and watched the miracle of multiplication unfold, not by effort, but by obedience and expectancy, so too must you begin your 12th-day practice with the sacred posture of one who prepares for what has not yet arrived, as if it is already on the way, because expectancy is not hope, it is authority waiting with open arms. I tell you boldly, the ones who receive are not the ones who plead or pace or panic. The ones who receive are the ones who prepare the room, set the table, open the window, and light the candle, as if the guest is already at the door, and that guest is called wealth, and that guest is called overflow, and that guest is called more than enough, and the only requirement for its entry is not proof or evidence or reason, but your verbal alignment with its name. For words are vessels, and if you speak empty words filled with fear, but if you speak full words anointed with oil, you invite divine speed. So on this first day, you say this not because you see it, but because you choose to see beyond what is. I expect lavish abundance, for I live in a rich, friendly universe. I expect divine provision, for my words are anchored in truth. I expect the door to open, for I have already knocked with my decree. Say it slowly like oil being poured. Say it rhythmically like waves returning to shore. Say it with the certainty that every atom in the universe hears you, and that money, opportunity, favor, and form are not things you chase, but things that are magnetized to your frequency the moment your frequency becomes lawful. Do not let the eyes distract you. Do not let the account deceive you. Do not let logic silence your decree, because on this first day you are not waiting for signs. You are speaking as the sign. You are not observing conditions. You are commanding them. You are not whispering into a void. You are declaring into a living field of divine responsiveness. Your word is the oil. Your expectancy is the wick. Your wealth is the flame. And when they meet in one holy moment of speech, the miracle is not delayed. It is released. So I say again, speak it. I expect lavish abundance. For I live in a rich, friendly universe. Say it as if the oil has already begun to flow. Say it as if God is nodding. Say it until the air around you shifts. Say it and say it again. This is day one. Let the oil run. On this second day, let us confront the most subtle fear that haunts the financially wary soul. Not the fear of lack alone, but the fear that what has come in will vanish, that what has been given will be taken away, that what has filled your hand today will disappear tomorrow. For the mind trained by materialism knows how to receive with hesitation and spend with dread. Always anticipating the bottom to drop, always watching the numbers shrink, always fearing that the well will dry again. But I tell you, this is not how the Spirit gives, and it is not how the Spirit sustains. For the wealth of God is not like the wealth of man, does not deplete, it does not expire, and it is not subject to digits, markets, or mental calculations. For Spirit is circulation, not subtraction, and divine supply flows not through balance sheets, but through the bloodstream of the spoken word. There was a woman once who came to me with trembling in her voice and trembling in her account. Their bank balance was low, her faith was lower. And she said, I have just enough for rent and food. If I pay the bill, my purse will be empty. And I looked at her and said, then let the purse be spiritual, and it shall never be empty again. For I reminded her that the purse in the physical is only a picture, a mirror, a representation. But the person's spirit, when governed by law, when spoken over in truth, when held in expectancy and not in fear, is never empty, never lacking, never without replenishment. Because the purse of spirit is the purse of principle, and principle never runs out. So she spoke these words with trembling lips that grew stronger with every breath. As money goes out, money flows in. My purse is always filled. My purse is always full. And I tell you, by the end of that week, her purse had not only been refilled, it had overflowed. A refund appeared. A forgotten debt was repaid. A stranger blessed her with an unexpected gift. Why? Because she stopped clutching a dying purse and began speaking to a living one. She stopped thinking about how little she had and started commanding the law of divine circulation to do what it always does. Return multiplied, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. So today, on day 2, you will not beg the purse to last. You will bless the purse to expand. You will not stare at the ledger and weep. You will speak to the purse and declare. You will not say, I only have this much. But you will say, as money goes out, money flows in. My purse is always filled. My purse is always full. You will treat the act of spending not as a subtraction, but as a signal to the universe that you are ready for more, that you trust the divine economy, that you are no longer a slave to numbers, but a speaker of law. And if fear arises, because it will, if that shadow of panic whispers, what if it doesn't come back, you will answer not with logic, not with spreadsheets, but with this declaration. My purse is not leather. My purse is spirit. My purse is law. My purse is infinite. Say it until you believe it. Say it until the shadow flees. Say it until the purse sings. This is not fantasy. It is faith aligned with frequency, and frequency governs form. Today you release the fear of the purse. Today you step into the flow of the eternal. Today you bless the outflow and welcome the inflow. Today you speak like one whose purse can never run dry. Let the circulation begin. On this third day we confront the memory of loss, the echo of theft, the phantom pain of something that felt stolen, money that vanished without explanation, opportunity that passed through your fingers like vapor, inheritance that never reached your hands, clients that disappeared, jobs that dissolved, years you call wasted, accounts that dried up, relationships that were tethered to finances and then torn apart, all of it folding into the story you carry like a sack of invisible weight. I lose things. I lose people. I lose money. But I declare to you now, by the light of spiritual law and the fire of the spoken word, There is no loss in divine mind, for the infinite does not subtract, it multiplies. It does not forget, it restores. It does not take, it teaches. And everything that has ever seemed lost can be summoned again through the gates of alignment, through the portal of speech, through the mouth of one who knows their covenant with eternal supply has never been broken. I once spoke with a man whose business had collapsed. He used the words ruined, destroyed, lost everything, and I listened not to his despair, but to the spell he was speaking, the enchantment he was weaving with every syllable that reinforced lack, reinforced grief, reinforced finality. And I said, "Do you know what you're doing? You're not just remembering your loss, you're preserving it, you're embalming it with your voice." And I handed him this declaration like a sword forged in spiritual flame. I deny loss. Nothing can be taken from me that belongs to me by divine right. And he repeated it first with resistance, then with resolve, and then one morning with radiant, unshakable clarity, and within weeks. Not only had a new business idea come, but investors, customers, even former competitors returned with new offers. The so-called loss was revealed as redirection. The collapse was revealed as construction. The breakdown was the blueprint. So today, your assignment is not to explain your losses, not to tally them like wounds, not to tell the world how you've been wronged. Your assignment is to deny them as final reality, to renounce the illusion that anything that was truly yours could have ever escaped your orbit. For what is yours by spiritual law cannot be stolen, cannot be dissolved, cannot be held from you by delay, deception, or denial. What is yours eternally, but it responds only to speech that matches its frequency. And that frequency is faith. You will speak this today, and you will speak it not to impress God. For God is not withholding, but to impress your subconscious, which has been carved by repetition of lack. I deny loss. I deny separation. I deny ruin. I affirm the full restoration of every dollar, every opportunity, every open door that is mine by divine right. I am not trying to get it back. I am commanding it into view. You will walk your home declaring restoration. You will look at old bank statements not to mourn them, but to reverse them. You will open your mouth in the place where you once wept and say, "Nothing is missing. Nothing is lost. I now reclaim it all through spiritual authority." And if the feeling of grief clings to your heart, if your chest tightens with the memory of something that once was, you do not suppress it. You speak over it, speak through it. Speak until the vibration of your voice melts the false belief that anything real can ever leave you. For spirit holds no lack, and in spirit, your good is not behind you. It is beside you waiting to be called. Call it now. Speak it now. Deny the lie of loss, and you will see the floodgates of divine compensation swing wide. This is the promise. This is day 3. Let the restoration begin. You have been taught to tithe from your wallet, from your labor, from your storehouse. But I tell you now, the most sacred tithe is not the 10th you give in coin. It is the 10th you give in sound, the tithe of the tongue, the first fruits of your speech, the offering of your words unto the law that governs wealth. For there is a giving of money that springs from fear, but the giving of praise is pure, untainted by calculation, untouched by control. It is the most spiritual currency you own, and it multiplies faster than gold because it bypasses appearance and speaks directly to the throne room of substance. Before you open your email, before you check your account, before you utter your first need, I charge you by the law of divine increase. Let your tongue teeth. Let your mouth send an offering to the invisible. Let the first sound from your lips be not worry or request, but a resounding thank you that echoes like thunder in the halls of divine release. You see, most people speak their pain in the morning. They rise and rehearse yesterday's limitations. They greet the dawn with dread, and then they wonder why the day withholds its favor. But I tell you the truth. Every hour you enter was already shaped by what you said at sunrise. And if you will give God the first 10th of your day with your praise, if you will sue into spirit with exaltation instead of hesitation, if you will speak favor before you see favor, then favor must bow to your command. For praise is the language of dominion. Praise is not a soft whisper. It is a decree that says, I trust what I cannot see. I magnify what is already mine. I welcome the wealth that walks with me, though it is not yet in my hand. And the law is exact. What you praise multiplies, and what you curse diminishes. If you praise fear, it increases. If you praise lack, it lingers. But if you praise supply, if you exalt provision, if you speak well of the divine economy before it manifests in your pockets, then your pockets must respond because the tongue holds the key to the treasury. So today, your practice is sacred and simple. Speak 10 praises before you speak 1 petition. Before you ask, adore. Before you plead, proclaim, say aloud, I praise the riches of heaven now pouring through my channels. I give thanks that supply is eternal and customized for me. I magnify the wealth of the Spirit that never runs dry. I rejoice in the divine law that funds me in full. I glorify the unseen substance becoming seen today. I celebrate the money I do not yet touch but already trust. I bless every avenue through which increase shall arrive. I lift up my voice in victory before I count the evidence. I honor the spiritual system that cannot fail. I delight in the overflow that has already been decreed. And then when your heart is full and your tongue is tuned to truth, speak what you need and watch how it comes, not with striving but with speed. Said it clearly. God is my instant and eternal supply, not my delayed supply, not my conditional supply, not my supply. When the market agrees or the job is stable or the math makes sense, instant and eternal. But your access to this instant supply is not through mental strain, it is through verbal praise. So lift your tithe now, not from your bank, but from your spirit. Pay God in gratitude, pay truth in thanksgiving, pay the law with your joy. And you will see what no effort could purchase, what no strategy could unlock, what no spreadsheet could calculate, divine, multiplied, irreversible increase. Speak your tithe and you will never be broke again. Speak your tithe and the windows of heaven will swing open before your next sentence ends. Speak your tithe and watch what happens when your praise becomes the password. This is day 4. Speak like one who knows the vault is already open. There are no blocked doors in spiritly blocked speech. There are no closed channels in the divine mindly mouths that have forgotten how to command, how to instruct, how to declare with unwavering alignment the holy truth of supply. Already prepared, already appointed, already flowing beneath the crust of appearances, already flooding toward the one who dares to remove their trust from the visible and place it where all things begin, in the unseen, the unmeasured, the unhurried abundance of divine law. You must understand this clearly, or you will keep looking at one door and calling it your source. You will fix your gaze on one employer, one business, one stream of income and think it is your life raft, your safety net, your hope, but that is idolatry masked as realism, and it will trap your supply within the cage of human logic. There is only one source, and it is infinite, and it is spiritual, and it is creative, and it opens doors no man can shut, and it moves through avenues you have not yet conceived, through people you've never met, through systems you don't even know exist. There was once a woman who came to me distressed because she had lost her job and believed her financial life had ended. She could not see any other door. She had placed her faith in the position, not the principle. But I said to her, "You are not funded by a paycheck. You are funded by law. You are not kept by a contract. You are kept by the word. Speak not of your job as your source. Declare instead, divine channels open to me now, expected and unexpected." And she did. She said it through her tears. She said it though her bank account mocked her. She said it with trembling voice, but a determined spirit. And in less than a week, her former colleague called with a new opportunity, a higher salary, and an agreement made entirely on her terms. Not because she hustled, not because she proved herself, but because she shifted the source in her mouth. What you call its source or channel determines what it can do for you. Call it your source and it will own you. Call it your channel and it will serve you. So this is day 5 and this is your declaration. Not whispered but sent with command. Divine channels open to me now, expected and unexpected. Say it again. Divine channels owe me now, expected and unexpected. Again. Divine channels open to me now, expected and unexpected. Let your breath match the rhythm of certainty. Let your tone carry the fragrance of divine trust. Let every syllable be a shovel, breaking the hard ground of resistance. And now, if you dare take the invisible and make it visible, let go of one false source today. Release one relationship, one strategy, one mental fixation that you've been clutching as if it were God. Hand it back to the universe and say, "This was never my source. I release it now and I open myself to the miracle I did not see coming." Said, "No man gives to me but God, and he uses many channels. So widen the gate, loosen your grip, speak like one who knows the river bends in your favor. There are channels in motion right now. There are forces aligning at this very moment. And all they require to break through is a mouth that no longer doubts, no longer fixates, no longer binds the flow with human obsession. Speak your supply free, declare your channels open. This is not fantasy, this is law. You are not broke, you are misaligned. Speak and the channels break open. Speak and the storehouses begin to empty their contents into your life. Speak and let heaven pour through unexpected vessels. Day 5 has come and so has your flow. You have begged from the world long enough. Pleaded with people who could not see your worth. Adjusted your value to fit systems that were never designed for your liberation. Traded dignity for just enough to survive, when all along you had access to a treasury that never runs dry, a vault that opens not by petition, not by performance, but by pronouncement. The bank of the universe is not a metaphor. It is not poetic language to soothe the soul. It is the literal spiritual law by which the invisible substance of God becomes tangible form. And it is governed not by time, not by economy, not by labor, but by the tongue of the one who knows their name, their inheritance, and their authority in Christ. You are not a borrower of lack. You are not an observer of fortune. You are not a subordinate to chance. You are a divine account holder, a rightful heir of eternal supply. And it is time you learn to make your withdrawal with spiritual boldness, not financial fear. There was a woman who needed 2,000 by the end of the week. The facts said it was impossible. Her clients had fallen away. Her bank account was silent, and yet her soul was loud with truth. She did not ask. She did not weep. She did not wring her hands. She stood still. She aligned. And she spoke the words that opened the treasury. I make my withdrawal from the universal bank now. Not tomorrow. Not when it feels more believable. Now she said it again and again, not as a mantra, but as a spiritual command, not as a wish, but as a witness of divine law in motion. And in the days that followed, a client from a year before reached out with a deposit. A debt she had forgotten was repaid. A stranger offered her a gift and the exact amount needed. Arrived not in pieces but in fullness, not through toil, but through timing governed by the word. Do you see? The withdrawal is not made through striving, it is made through speech. So on day 6, I ask you, what are you withdrawing? What are you declaring into form? What is the figure, the provision, the opportunity, the opening you are now ready to receive? Not by logic but by law. Say it aloud. I make my withdrawal from the universal bank now. Again, I make my withdrawal from the universal bank now. One more time. I make my withdrawal from the universal bank now. Let every word ring with conviction. Let every breath carry finality. This is not an attempt, this is a transaction. And to seal it, take out a piece of paper. Yes. Know and write down what you are withdrawing. Write the amount, write the description. Write the need as if it were already met. Then sign your name at the bottom and declare, this is my spiritual deposit slip, I expect it to clear. The world may scoff, the natural mind may laugh, but the substance of spirit listens to command, not consensus. Money does not move for desperation, it moves for decree. The bank of the universe does not require collateral, it responds to consciousness. You are not speaking into the void, you are instructing divine supply. And as surely as you speak, it begins to gather, to form, to press into manifestation with grace, with precision, and with perfect divine order. The door is open, the vault is responding, the funds are prepared, and your name is already on the envelope. Speak now. Declare now. Believe now, because day 6 has arrived and heaven is listening. There is a moment in the life of every soul where giving feels like a gamble, where the instinct to hold tight battles the invitation to open wide, where fear says keep it and spirit says release it. And it is in that very moment that the entire spiritual economy watches and waits, not because your giving earns divine favor, but because your trust reveals your frequency and your frequency determines your harvest. You see, when the world speaks of return, it speaks in percentages, interest rates, and compound yield. But when the soul speaks under divine law, it speaks of the thousandfold, the supernatural multiplication that flows not from mathematics, but from the mystery of spirit, not from saving, but from surrender. Told the story of a woman who gave her last blessed dollar and declared, "This dollar is blessed and returns to me multiplied." And it did, not in tenfold, not in 100-fold, but in 1,000-fold. One spoken over with truth returned as 1,000, not because of logic but because of law. And now here you are standing at the threshold of your own multiplication, looking at what little you have, wondering if it's too small to matter, too late to multiply, too far from the need you face. But I tell you now, your harvest does not respond to amount, it responds to speech, it responds to blessing. Do not curse the small in your hand. Do not mock the size of your seed. Bless it. Speak over it. Declare its return. Take $1 or one coin or one man. Say aloud, this is the seed of divine multiplication. It is blessed and it returns to me multiplied under grace in perfect ways. Say it with your eyes closed. Say it as if your ancestors can hear. Say it until the spirit within agrees. You are not just giving $1. You are giving voice to a new economy. You are announcing to the universe that you are no longer in covenant with scarcity. You are no longer obeying the fear of not enough. You are sowing into the law of abundance, and that law is unfailing. There is no loss in divine law. There is only movement, circulation, return. What goes out must come back greater. What you bless blesses you. What you declare declares back to you. And so on day 7 you do not give like the world gives. You give like one who knows the thousandfold is not a metaphor, It is a manifestation. Speak it aloud. What I give returns to me multiply. What I release returns to me richly. I give as one who never lacks. I sow as one who always reaps. I bless this dollar and it returns as overflow. And after you say it, release it, give it. Don't look for applause. Don't explain yourself. Just let it go with a holy reverence. Like a prophet releasing fire from the mountaintop, like a king sending a royal envoy, like a priest placing gold on the altar. You are not letting go. You are launching. You are aligning. You are not giving away. You are commanding back. 12 days, 12 declarations, 12 deposits into the spiritual vault. And this is the midpoint, the pivot, the holy hinge where everything changes, because now the seed has left your hand, and the law begins to run toward you like the rain that cannot be recalled. Like the tide that answers the moon, like breath that answers the moon, like breath.